Ciao everyone, this is Nate on the Stone. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about suicide and euthanasia. Now these are both really serious topics, which is why I've waited until now to make this video. I did not want to say the wrong thing. I myself don't have any personal experience with suicide. No one in my family has ever committed suicide, for which I am very grateful and very blessed. But I do have firsthand experience with suicide from working in the funeral business. And I know from firsthand experience the pain and the sorrow and the literal agony that suicide brings to a family. There are literally no words of comfort that can be said by anyone for a family in that situation. Last month, the country and the entire world was really shocked by the suicides of Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain. And it wasn't just the method of suicide used by both Spade and Bourdain. They both hanged themselves in their homes. But it was the fact that both of them seemed to have everything that you could want. Spade created a multi-billion-dollar fashion line with her husband in the 90s, and Bourdain was a chef and a world traveler who brought different foods and cultures to countless people's homes through his show on CNN. Everyone expressed sadness and regret at their death, with, for example, many people reacting to Bourdain's death by saying that they felt that they had lost a personal friend. Spade and Bourdain's death actually come at a time when suicide is on the rise here in America. According to a 2016 report published by the Center of Disease Control, between 1999 and 2014, there was a 24% increase in suicides among men and women. Euthanasia has been in the news, however much in the background, since 1984, when the Netherlands became the first country to maybe not legalize it, but make it acceptable. And since 1984, several other countries have followed suit and have gone full out and legalized the process. Belgium in 2002, Luxembourg in 2008, Canada in 2015-2016, and several American states have also done the same thing, California, Oregon, and Hawaii, for example. I will put a link to that report in the description below. Now, just so that we're all clear on the terminology, euthanasia is defined as the act of ending one's own life so as to prevent pain and suffering. Suicide, on the other hand, is defined as the act of killing oneself. Even though sometimes euthanasia can fall under the category of suicide if a patient voluntarily wants to be killed. There is also a hair-splitting difference between euthanasia, which is defined as a doctor actively killing a patient, and doctor-assisted suicide, which is defined as a doctor merely providing the means for a patient to kill themselves. Unlike suicide, however, euthanasia is often described as a heroic act, where a person takes his destiny in his own hands and puts an end to his suffering and pain on his terms. Brittany Maynard, a 29-year-old wife and mother, was hailed as a hero when, in 2014, she and her family moved to Oregon to take advantage of Oregon's euthanasia laws so that she could kill herself before her brain cancer killed her. And George and Shirley Brickender were also hailed as heroes when they became the first couple in Canada to be given permission to be euthanized together. But here comes the main question that I want to bring up in this video. If suicide is a tragedy, and make no mistake about it, it is a tragedy, why is euthanasia seen in such a positive light? This isn't a flippant question. If suicide and euthanasia boil down to the same thing, why is one seen as a tragedy and the other seen as a good thing? Now, one answer might be that euthanasia is for people with incurable diseases, people who know that they're going to die and who decide that they want to end their life on their own terms before whatever disease they have kills them in an undignified way. On the other hand, many people who commit suicide suffer from depression. We know, for instance, that Kate Spade suffered with depression for a number of years, and it might very well be that Anthony Bourdain suffered from depression too. We do know that he thought a lot about suicide over a number of years. What these people need isn't death. What these people need is treatment and help. But that answer overlooks a couple of things. First, depression is not necessarily a curable disease. In a 2003 piece written for Psychology Today, it was admitted that no endpoint has been defined for the treatment of depression and that no specific test for a cure has been found either. And in response to a depression-related question on ZocDoc.com, it was said that while depression is treatable, it's not necessarily curable. Some people, after finishing their treatment, which on average takes between 1 to 2 years, never suffer a relapse after that. Other people, after they finish the treatment, relapse. Second, euthanasia is already being used as a cure for depression. This past January, 29-year-old Aurelia Bowers was euthanized in the Netherlands after she said that her bouts of depression made her life unbearable. And it doesn't end at depression. In 2016, Mark Longdewijk was euthanized in the Netherlands when he said he could no longer live with his alcoholism. And in 2015, 47-year-old Gabby Opthuis was euthanized on account of her acute tinnitus, ringing in the ears. Another answer might be that you should have time to plan your death, like Brittany Maynard, or that a doctor should be involved in the process. But neither of these answers really hold up against the two main claims for legalized euthanasia in the first place: an end to pain and self-determination. If self-determination includes the right to end your own life, why should a doctor be consulted at all? It's not a question of pain. There's really no painless way of killing yourself, and there are plenty of cases of doctors euthanizing patients who, due to a miscalculation, actually cause their patients more pain. It's not a question of safety, because death pretty much ends all considerations for safety. If it's a legal question, the law should be changed to reflect the right to kill yourself covered under self-determination. It might be a question of consultation. Maybe a doctor is needed so that a patient clearly understands all of his options. But this still doesn't answer the question that if self-determination includes the right to kill yourself, regardless of situation or circumstances, then why is a doctor needed in the first place? Again, my point here isn't to belittle or berate or complain about people who have committed suicide or who have been euthanized. That is not my point at all. My goal is something more specific, which is to ask, why are we, as a society, so inconsistent on this issue? If people who have themselves euthanized are heroes, why are suicides like Kate Spade considered tragedies? That split, that division, that is the question that I want people to think about. But what do you all think? Are suicide and euthanasia at the root pretty much the same thing, which makes the different reactions to the two things odd and strange? Or is there a legitimate and definable difference between the two, which justifies the different reactions between suicide and euthanasia? As always, let me know down in the comments below. That's all for right now, gang. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all again here next week on Top of the Stone. Ciao.